Very eager to see what happens here. Whoever wins this is going to go on to the finals and potentially be the North American champion.
Yeah, so we get Edmond Chiu on the play. Notice Edmond was the higher seed, I do believe, so probably chose to go first in game 1, and then game 2, I'm assuming, went second. And now we're going to take it to a game 3 for 2 Disney Lorcana Championship champions to face against each other, also on the same decks that they won those tournaments with, which is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, what a story. Zan coming into Vegas, surprising everybody with Emerald Steel, a deck that people didn't really expect coming into the tournament, sort of blew everybody away in Vegas. Kind of said the same thing with Edmond Chiu when he was in Dallas-Fort Worth. Emerald Steel was actually the thing that was going crazy with the Bucky Diablo shenanigans that were happening. Edmond decided to bring Ruby Amethyst, and so let's go on to the feature match table and see how this game 3 is going.
If you could beat the Bucky version of Emerald Steel's Ruby Amethyst, you could beat anything.
Yeah, so Ed could be favored here. Fighting against Emerald Steel, he's beat it before in super high stakes.
Yeah, to be fair, it's less of a, I think at this level, it's less of a play skill thing and more, the deck building. When Ed brought Ruby Amethyst to that tournament, he brought it for Emerald Steel, right? And when Ed brought Ruby Amethyst to this tournament, Emerald Steel was probably pretty low on the list of things that he was thinking about beating.
One thing that I will be interested to see is if Ed finds that Flynn line that we've talked about throughout this weekend. Notably, Emerald Steel has been known for having characters that don't have a ton of strength. And so if he can find a way to get this Flynn down, maybe a Sisu, the one that gains strength based on cards in hand of your opponent, the Flynn could do some work, help Edmond gain a sizable advantage early on.
5 back here for Edmond. Did not catch how many Zan sent back.
Didn't either.
Looks like Zan sent back 6. So once again, he just came out of his interview talking about the 7.
Yeah.
And now he's got to do 6 in his game 3 of a semifinals match.
Hoping to find what he needs to. Do see Calhoun in hand. Could be pretty good. He's on the draw here. Looks like he's going to be going first. Thinking of Strength of Raging Fire. Opening with that Diablo. We're going to get a good look at Ed's hand. He's working with that. Do see the Flynn and the Sisu in there, along with a 1-drop. Ed in this deck, having brought Ruby Amethyst with no Genies, no Mauis. Only Ruby, both of these players, the only players to have these decks in the top 16 in day 2, bringing them to the semifinals.
Zan going first, that means that Ed lost game 1 on the play. Yeah. Very interesting.
Means Ed had to win on the draw.
No shift Diablo here for Zan.
Diablo and Diablo.
Yeah. This dang bird.
Dang bird is everywhere. Maleficent Spy, Obedient Raven. Going to pass it on over to Zan. He's going to take some time. One thing that I've noticed about Zan, having commentated over multiple of his matches, is he does not play fast. He doesn't feel rushed. He considers every line.
Zan's hand looks really bad. Unless I'm missing something there on the left side, this looks like a very suboptimal start to an Emerald Steel list.
He doesn't have that Diablo shift line. Instead, plays the Calhoun on 2.
Does find the Flynn off the top if that's the turn 2 we're looking for as Edmond.
Ed has access to that Flynn. We're going to see one enter.
Hand,
yeah, and there it is.
Sisu on the backup. You mentioned that it's going to be on the draw, but still
could be enough.
It could be potent against Emerald Steel here. Pete off the top here for Zan.
Of course, Ed not exerting this Diablo because of the Calhoun that's in play. Don't want to give that Calhoun an opportunity to challenge and gain lore. Going to see a Pete inked and a Pete played, so Ed can't play any actions on this turn.
I think that tells you that Zan's hand might be a little weak.
Yeah, I think this Pete's more of just getting a body on board than its ability this turn. We see Ed immediately play out this Sisu.
Yep. Pete as a 3-3 is relatively impactful, though, as we reduce the strength of the Sisu potentially on the coming turn. Sudden Chill in hand for Zan, as well as Strength of a Raging Fire. So we are going to be able to deal with that Flynn by singing that Strength of a Raging Fire. Go ahead and draw a card off of that as well. Looks like we are going to target that. Oh, finds one of the tech cards that Zan is including in the list. I'm Still Here, 3-cost action song. Chosen character gains resist +2 until the start of your next turn. Draw a card.
Be a particularly powerful card, trying to keep your Diablos from being banished. Or if you need to sing with your muses or French Johns in a desperate attempt to find something.
Yeah, and also having access to no Madame Medusa just remains. I feel like it's not going to be, that's not a great situation to be in against Emerald Steel in terms of your top end. Look, it's going to be a Hypnotize.
It could help. Those Lady Tremaines could help get around the ward characters that we've seen Emerald Steel use so efficiently. It's going to decide to discard the Lady Tremaine from the Hypnotize.
Off the top, it is going to be a 1-cost Diablo, so Zan's hand still looking very clunky. Does find the Ursula 2-drop. Didn't see Ursula Deceiver in there before.
Could be pretty impactful as Ed's made some interesting changes to this Amethyst Ruby deck, but Be Prepareds are still there.
Got the 4 of 2, right?
Running 4 Be Prepareds. That Ursula on a vital turn could make or break the game.
Being said, if I'm Ed, I'm feeling pretty comfortable in this moment. Does trade out the Diablo draw card.
Love the Smiling Crab, yeah. Boosting the 0 strength Diablo.
Finds a 1-cost Diablo off the top as well, which is quite nice.
Means when Ed trades the Diablo, gets to draw a card.
It does have the 8-cost Uninkable Sisu, Merlin Rabbit, plus what looks to be... I didn't catch the 3rd card, but Ed is in a great position right now. Dan's still playing off the top of the deck for value. Does find a Prince John, as well as... Ooh, doesn't have the Sudden Chill or anything like that anymore in hand, but has the Prince John, has the Ursula Deceiver. Ursula Deceiver would, of course, be a whiff.
Prince John, one of the better draw engines in the Emerald Steel deck as well, if you can combo it with those discard cards. Dan historically builds his deck around it.
Yeah, interestingly, doesn't match up too well to our Sisu. We're going to see it is going to be a Lady Tremaine plus the Diablo and the Flynn Rider.
Lady Tremaine still a little bit, a turn or 2 away from being useful. Only 4 ink in the Inkwell for Edmond here, but I've loved these Diablos throughout this weekend. Cards you can play, utilize with crabs, or if they get banished, they just replace themselves.
Looks like it is going to be the Prince John here.
Notably, the Emerald Steel matchup usually...
Ooh, I didn't see he still had the Sudden Chill. It must have been behind the Ursula Deceiver. That's pretty impactful here.
I didn't see it either, and I was about to say, in these Emerald Steel versus Ruby Amethyst matchups, if you can get your Ruby Amethyst player down to 0 cards before they've built up their Inkwell to about 6 or 7 ink, you're heavily favored as the Emerald Steel player.
Yeah, particularly that 6 can be really devastating for them, but does have the Merlin Rabbit to refuel. See if you can find an Inkable off the top. It's going to be a library, so we're getting up to 5 ink.
Passing it on over to Zan. He'll ready his cards. Ed doesn't want to quest with anything.
Doesn't want the smoke from the Calhoun.
See what Zan plays. A C2 exerted. Are we going to see an Ursula? The Ursula Deceiver is going to play.
Nope.
Nope. Brawl is not in action. Or sorry, not a song, only in action. So it will miss. Won't get a discard.
That being said, Ed's hand not looking fantastic if the board does swing significantly more in the favor of Zan. You know, just has that 8 cost that is pretty much a dead card at this point.
Yeah, it's a little too early. Would be a very impactful card in this matchup, usually, because the characters that are pretty difficult to deal with are within range of that Sisu, but only having 5 ink in the Inkwell, we're quite a few turns off from the Sisu being useful.
Tight matchup definitely favors Ed as we progress further into the game, and Zan isn't able to pull ahead.
Ed trying to decide if he wants to quest with these characters. It looks like he is. We're going to gain 3 lore, 2 from the Prince John, 1 from the Diablo.
So 5 ink for Ed here. Card off the top is going to be Madam Mim's Snake.
We are going to shift the Sisu.
Very nice.
So used to seeing the Sisu shifted on the Daring Visitor from Ruby Sapphire. Completely missed the this other one.
Yeah, really unpopular interaction due to this, this 8-cost Sisu not making it into many Ruby Amethyst lists. Double Calhoun on the board here for Zan. Ed, I think we could say significantly ahead at this point.
Yeah, getting rid of the Prince John, all the other cards as well. The 2 Calhouns on board. If they want to challenge and banish the Sisu, they both have to go into it. Instead, Zan's thinking about challenging and banishing the crab.
He's thinking about doubling.
Yeah.
You have to double trade into the Sisu here.
Sisu represents a lot of lore. Also, if there's any bounce cards in hand, we know that there's a snake. Could pull the Sisu back and sort of set up having it in case Zan plays out. those
Yeah.
cards that'll hit it. He is going to double trade with the Calhoun. He'll gain 2 lore, but both Calhouns are going to be banished.
Ooh, Cursed Merfolk plus Diablo. That's a pretty good refill.
And not too bad, especially since Zan is still pretty low on cards in hand. Again, we do have that snake, though. And bounce this rabbit.
Yeah, before that Diablo does get activated, we're going to go ahead and bounce this rabbit back, draw another card. It's going to be a library. Another Merlin rabbit here. Are we going to find an answer to the Diablo? We don't.
Drawing as many cards as you can before this Diablo gets exerted. Ed does have access to brawls that he can find. Potentially get rid of this Diablo unless Zan finds a hidden cove.
Yeah, also has access to things like Be Prepared, which I think might even be reasonable on a board like this. Like Zan's refill there was significantly better than I thought it was going to be. I thought that Zan was getting close to being out of this game as we lost both those Calhouns and Edmond was so far ahead on cards. But Diablo plus Cursed Merfolk is a good 2-card to deploy onto this board.
Pass it over to Zan. He draws for turn. How many cards does Zan have in hand? Is it just the 1?
Zan just has 1 card in hand. Playing off the top of the deck.
Okay.
Be a 3 cost, so it's a
he
hidden
does find
cove.
the hidden cove. So now cards like Sisu, Empowered Sibling, and Brawl are not going to be useful to get rid of this Diablo. Really good for Zan here, I think.
Really good. Now Zan's going to be drawing when Edmond draws.
Yeah, every time Ed draws a card on his turn, because of Diablo's ability, Zan gets to also draw. I know there's a rabbit in Ed's hand. I believe he drew his second one.
Ed does have the Madam M Fox.
Could use this Fox to banish the hidden cove.
Yep.
Reducing that Diablo back down to 2/2. Back in range of the Sisu and the Brawls. Again, Ed's not playing any Madame Medusas. So those are really the only cards that we can use to target this Diablo specifically.
This is a tough line here from Ed.
Trying to figure out what you're going to commit to. We are going to challenge with the rabbit dealing 2 damage, bouncing back with Fox. We can use this Fox to cleanly take out the hidden cove, but Zan is going to get the draw from the rabbit.
That Friends on the other side is the draw.
Edmond building up a sizable hand, though. We are going to banish this hidden cove with the Fox where we ink and play some more cards. Could ink up to 4, play another rabbit. Play the same rabbit. We're going to quest for 2 with the crab and the snake here.
Oh, this Diablo is just so strong in this scenario. Like any other card that Zan had deployed off the back of that. But this is keeping him significantly in this game.
Yeah, such a punishing card. Looks like Ed is going to play a library and follow it up with a magic broom. We've seen how much work the library can do in previous matches for Edmond. That 1 lore just allowing it to tick up and up and up. Of course, if you move a character there and it's banished, you get to draw a card for turn as well. But
I wonder if Ed has sort of pivoted to commit to the race at this point.
That's kind of what I'm wondering as well with the location. Historically, Emerald Steel struggles with locations. Zan doesn't. I don't think Zan's running anything like a Long Came Zeus. Not, so he'd have to purely rely on his characters to banish it.
Ursula doesn't hit, it does not. It's 2 rabbits in hand. Diablo is going to go ahead and sing, moving that broom.
Let Storm Rage on, banishing the broom. Letting Zan draw a card. Diablo is just such a punishing card. I mean, Ed digging, trying to get back into this game. It's just fueling Zan's hand and his ability to get back as well.
Yeah, Ed's just got to find an answer to this Diablo soon, it feels like.
And still thinking about what he wants to do with the rest of his turn. Has some ink to work with. I think 3. Go ahead and quest with the Cursed Merfolk. Gain 2 lore. Offering Ed the challenge if he wants to discard a card. A Go-Go Tamago being played, but not with its ability. Is just an evasive character with 1 lore. Edmond's not playing any evasive characters, by the way. No genies in the deck.
That trigger on that library here.
Tied game, 9 lore and 9 lore.
Finds a Madam M Fox off the top. So he's just going to have
grab
to
it.
draw into this.
And is just getting a card every time Edmond is. Ed can't find the answer to this Diablo. Let's see Ed bouncing the rabbit with the fox, drawing another card, giving Zan another. Go ahead and challenge this Curse Merfolk with the Madam Fox. Now
Discard
Ed.
trigger.
Yep. We decided to discard a rabbit. We're going to quest all out, gaining 3 lore, going up to 12.
This is a really interesting race. Like, Zan's hand is a bit unknown at this point, so it's hard to kind of tell who comes out. Looks like Zan's hand is not... I do see a Muses plus a Hypnotize.
Muses, it just doesn't do much against this matchup right now. Everything in play, except for the Chernobyls that was just played, outside of the Muses range. Also, with this library ticking away, you got to answer it at some point. That 8 willpower, it's going to be tough for Zan to do.
Another discard, so we see Curse Merfolk in hand as well as I'm Still Here.
Muses, of course, if we have it in play, when you play a song, you can bounce a character with 2 strength or less back to their hand. Card pretty vital in the Emerald Steel gameplay on most of the time. Keeping characters off of your opponent's board. Not too great against this board, though. You have access to some discard in the hand from Zan, though. I think there's a Hypnotize in there.
Mm-hmm. There's quest value we threatening on Ed's side, so...
6 total with the location. Push him up to 18 on the next turn.
And that's very scary. So Zan's got to do something about that board. Because, of course, Goat off the top would put him in a really bad scenario. Unless Zan can win in the next 2 turns, which I don't think he can.
Just a reminder, this is game 3, so Ed takes this. He will go into the finals against Scott. Whoever wins this game could potentially be the North American champion.
I mean, if Ed wins this game, it's a perfect masterclass of how to play Ruby Ammo. This is some pivot to being the more aggressive and beatdown deck. Because this is a very, very thin margin where I could see Ed losing this game at 18 to 19 lore or potentially winning it.
We are going to see Zan play the Muses out. Muses has wards, so can't be targeted by Ed. We play a song, we can bounce this Chernobog's followers back to hand due to the Muses ability. We do have access to songs in hand through Sudden Chill, as well as I'm Still Here.
All right, let's see what Zan's going to do in terms of challenging on this board.
Could potentially dig a card. We play I'm Still Here to draw a card. Have the Curse Merfolk come out. Not going to be particularly helpful in dealing with this board.
I think it's going to be very impactful just because I do think this is coming down to a straight up race.
Yeah, if Zan can stall an extra turn or 2, it is going to come down to who can make the most explosive quest in their turn. Of course, Merfolk is great at doing so at Emerald. Zan taking a lot of time to think out this turn.
Hypnotize looks like it's going to be the ink for the turn.
Getting ready to challenge with the Go-Go and Diablo.
It's just going to
And
quest.
we're going to quest. Going up to 11. Dan doesn't have to answer any characters on Ed's side of the board this turn, but it would put Ed up to 18 if he completely quests
19.
out.
So it's like if you don't have a turn 2 clock, it feels like you have to answer something this turn.
Yep.
That being said, Zan, without having access to board wipes, it's like almost feels like an inevitable 3-turn clock. I don't see this game going more than 3 turns unless Ed is the player that decides to start challenging or decides to wipe the board.
We're going to sing this Sudden Chill with Ursula questing. Force Ed to discard a card, looks like.
That's a big tell, actually, that Zan has probably done the math and thinks that he wins the race.
Yeah. Going to go to Ed. When Ed draws his card return, Zan does because of Diablo. It's going to ready all of his cards, gain the lore from the library. Does he have the Goat?
No, I don't think he has the Goat, at least not quite yet. He has the Merlin Rabbit, though. Again, the GOAT doesn't end the turn this game, or doesn't end the game this turn.
Okay, we're going to start with Lady Tremaine, forcing Zan to choose and banish one of his cards.
Which is... That card feels very significant right now because you don't eat the opportunity cost of challenging anything, and every single quest value counts here. And we see Ed go 90 degrees on everything. Ed, so both players have done the math and think that they win the race, it feels like.
Yeah, putting Zan in a position where...
I do think that Tremaine is probably one of the most impactful things that could happen right now, though, because now Ed is able to remove a character, slow down Zan's clock, which might have also been a 2-turn clock, while not eating the opportunity cost of challenging, so while being able to progress his win condition by one more lore than he would have if he had to remove things via challenging.
Zan has to remove everything on Ed's board this turn, except for
Yes,
one card with one lore.
Yeah, actually everything, because if the library sits around, that is top deck GOAT to win.
Yep. Zan's going to do everything he can to find an out, though. I think there's a dock in hand, sudden chill. I'm still here. Sure what's on the back.
I feel like Ed wins this race.
I do too. I think it's going to be tough for Zan to find a line here.
Look at Ed staring. Ed is looking straight at Zan.
Ed just waiting to see if Zan has an out. The stress, you can see. Ed kind of taking a breath. Zan shaking his head. I think he understands he's going to find it. It's going to have to be tight. He's going to go for the dock, discard the hand, draw two.
Discard the 2. You know that Ed's got to be feeling good off that one.
Zan's slowing it. Does he find it?
Is he destined to go to the finals of the North American Championship, or is it going to be Ed, our DLC winner from Dallas?
2 DLC winners here.
Ed, the Emerald Steel Slayer, is about to take down one more Emerald Steel to make it all the way to the finals. Just a Ruby Amethyst masterclass.
And doing some math. Questing with the Curse Merfolk here, going up to 13.
Up to 13.
We have 14 with the Go-Go.
15, 16. Not going to be enough. We start to see the stress make its way onto Zan's face, I think. Shows the cards, knows he can't do it. Looks like it's going to be Ed. Ed's going to go to your finals. It's going to be Ruby Amethyst versus Ruby Sapphire in the finals.
Edmond Chiu, DLC winner, Dallas-Fort Worth, is going to be the finalist.
Yeah, and he points to Lady Tremaine. The Lady Tremaine there was so impactful.